had a planarian. And I want you to think back to the pictures of the planarian that I drew at the beginning. What was maybe a very noticeable feature of these planarians?
Eye spots.
The eye spots. And the eye spots are actually part of their nervous system. They have two anterior eye spots. And once again, if it's anterior, what end are we talking about? Let me give you two terms, head or tail?
Head.
Okay, head. We're going to be talking about the head end. Now, sometimes words can be misleading, because if you see the term eye spot, what do you normally think of? What word do you associate with eye spot?
Eyes.
Eyes. And if you think about eyes, what do you normally think of eyes being able to do? See. Can planarians see?
No.
No. These, once again, are simply nothing more than structures that are photosensitive. And if something is photosensitive, it's light sensitive. In fact, you can do some really neat little things with planarians. Did I mention here that I thought I might order planarians again this year? I think maybe I will. I'm not so certain whether I'll have you go ahead and cut them up and do the regeneration experiments. But you can do some other neat things with planarians. Probably borders on planarian abuse. Planarians do not like light. So you can set up little containers and you can cover half of them with like construction paper, and they'll always seek the shaded part. And then you can also like chase them around with flashlights because they don't like the light. So I said that does kind of border a little bit on planarian abuse. And you can also train them to do some other marvelous things too, but you can actually guide them with flashlights because they do not like the light. They will turn away from the light. And once again, it's due to these photosensitive eye spots. Now, if you expect planarians to be able to see shapes, and if you expect them to be able to see forms, if you expect them to be able to tell colors, they can't do that. Now, they can do some other things, though. They do have some other receptors at the anterior end. And once again, if we're at the anterior end, which end are we at?
Head end.
Head end, very good. They do have receptors that are capable of taste. They have receptors that are capable of touch, receiving touch receptions, and smell. Now, as far as one of these is concerned, let's take a look at taste. Where do most people associate taste receptors, or what structure do most people?
Mouth.
Yeah, the mouth. And where is the planarian's mouth once again? The stomach. So don't be, I'm saying stomach. Once again, they don't have a real stomach, but it's on the ventral side in the middle. I used my stomach when I illustrated it, so that's probably going to be misleading people. But as far as the structure is concerned, structure's down here somewhere. And yet the taste receptors are up at the anterior end. And you're going to find that this is not unusual in invertebrate animals. We're going to be talking about crayfish later on that have cute little antennules and longer antennae. Their taste receptors are located up here in their antennae. Or is it their antennules? In those appendages that are at the top of the anterior part of it. So I'll look that up by the time we get to crayfish. But don't always think that just because you have receptors for taste in your mouth, that other animals have taste receptors there too. It doesn't necessarily have to be so. And they do have certain things that they prefer to eat, rather than other things. So scientists have concluded that yes, they probably do have certain tastes that that these taste receptors are sensitive to. As far as touch, once again, this almost probably borders on planarian abuse, but you can take little probes that we have, and you can actually chase them around with the little probes because you can touch them on the anterior end and they'll turn away from it, and you can catch them over here and touch them again and they'll turn away from it, or you can take your flashlights and chase them all sorts of directions. Now, another thing too we should point out is that this is kind of a misleading question. In a way, it's kind of misleading. I've written down that ganglia form a brain. But what did I do to brain? Brain. Put it in quotes. Are they going to have a brain like you have? Are they going to have a brain that looks like, this will happen to have a brain right here. Have a brain. Somebody in another class said, oh, but it's so small. But remember, this is from Torso Man, it's not drawn to scale. But are they going to have a brain that looks like this? What do you notice about this brain? Use your powers of observation. Have a brain here. What do you see?
It's in sections.
Ah, very good. It's in sections. It's in lobes. We have a large lobe here, another lobe here, here a lobe, there a lobe, everywhere a lobe. Okay. So we have lobes. And are their brains going to look like this? No, they're not. Remember, we're dealing with something very, very primitive. It's not until you get into, let's say the fish, get into the vertebrate animals, that you can actually start seeing some lobe structures. What we are dealing with here are simply some clusters of nerve cells.